into Budget in Focus. I am Lyndon Davidson, and today, of course, we're going to be delving into one of these sectoral areas that was covered rather in the national budget presented in the National Assembly by Senior Minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh. Now, of course, this program aims to delve into those areas to look at how Guyanese lives will be made a whole lot better in the different sectors in terms of different allocations, and you'll get a chance to be able to understand the trajectory and the direction in which the government is taking each sector into to ensure prosperity for all. I'm pleased to be joined by the Minister of Labour, the Honourable Joseph Hamilton, and we're going to be having that conversation, particularly as it relates to what's happening in his ministry. Minister, how are you doing?
Very well. Good morning,
Good morning.
to you and to your viewers. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So let's delve right into it. The Ministry of Labour at the end of last year, you outlined a number of successes that your ministry, along with the staff of the ministry, you guys were able to accomplish over the last year, particularly as it relates to the BIT program, the technical vocational and training programs. Also, you talked about occupational health. We can delve into that in just a few, but let's get right into the allocation this year compared to last year.
Okay, the allocation this year to the ministry is more than last year. Importantly, is the money for training and the other areas have increased, and so we hope to do more this year, not just at the level of our training arm, the Board of Industrial Training, but to upskill and upgrade our staff. Because for me, many of the new ideas and thoughts on modernizing thinking, you have to have officers who have the capacity to deliver what we're talking about, and therefore important to the ministry and to me is ensuring the people that work in the different departments are adequately trained.
Yeah.
And so we will spend money doing that also. So training is within and without in 2024.
Yeah.
The other important thing regarding BIT, let me jump right into that, training is, I want us to redefine the curriculum somewhat for the training to allow for innovation to be a part of the training.
Yeah.
I don't think anymore we can just train people pedestrianly to just go and work. I think we have to now move to a place where everything they do, the innovation is part of it.
Yeah. And that's
To ensure that we can make delivery of services more efficient and effective. And so that I want to pay some attention to as regards training this year, as we train young people around this country. If I use welding and fabrication to make the point, no more, in my view, we should just train the young man or woman to just do some grill work.
Yeah.
They have to move beyond that. How you do things differently. I have this idea about fusing wood and steel, because if you pay attention to furniture making now, it is that concept. So it is how perhaps we have these young people conceptualize ideas so that they can monetize in a more appropriate way their skill set.
Yeah.
So those are the thoughts I'm thinking about, taking the training to a higher level, so to speak. So we're grateful for the type of funding to be able to do that.
Yeah. I'm wondering how that in itself fits into the modern economy that is being built currently, and given the trajectory of not just the economy, because the economy is being diversified to allow for more production and an expansion in different areas. How does that fit into the modern economy that is being built, given oil and gas and obviously technology being used to deliver services as well? How important is that given the trajectory of the economy and where we're going?
The other important thing, I've had conversations with the senior people and our IT department, what role IT can play in our training. This year, beginning this year, is important. They must come up with concepts to fuse information technology with the different training areas. If we look at program, the heavy duty equipment operator program, it must speaks to efficiency. It mustn't just speak to, okay, train the person to be able to be employable. How they can take to that place where they will find a job or their own business that they will establish.
Yeah.
Some new and modernized way of doing doing this thing. And so the point you raise is in all sectors. That is the way we have to be thinking to ensure that you can have production more rapid. We cannot continue to do it the old way. The young man who today, or woman, who embraces welding and fabrication, they must see it as starting a journey to participate in oil and gas sector,
Yeah.
where that skill set is needed. The young man or woman who engage drone technology, they must see it as a starting point to go higher and higher and higher in this technology. And so that is how we want to structure programs, our training program going forward. Paying attention, of course, to the modernization of the state, to the different areas that will be needed for employees will be needed. I'll give you one instance. 2021, we introduced the fiber optic cable technology program, which was a new program. We trained 15 young persons. By the time that program was finished, all of them were employed. And then we trained 28 there. So we have to also, as a training arm, look out for how the labor force is shifting. And I said this yesterday, let me repeat that, even at the level of education delivery, we have to pay attention to whether some of the professions we are training people in, whether they are useful for that person, whether it will allow them to participate in the new economy now and futuristically. So the whole issue, even starting in my view from secondary school, primary school, of streaming now has to be different.
Yeah.
It has to be different. It has to be whereby you pay attention to the emerging sectors, the emerging type of jobs, so that we don't overtrain in areas where people will not get jobs. And I want to believe we already have that, because many a times we see people on social media indicating that, listen, I graduated 2 years ago and I can't get a job. The thing is, perhaps we're oversupplying people in that area when in other areas we're not paying attention to.
Yeah.
So holistically, that is how we have to look at this matter regarding training and development.
Yeah, and particularly as it relates to the gaps that may exist in the current labor market in the oil and gas sector, because the ILO's report, which spoke about some amount of deficiencies there in terms of the oil and gas industry. Obviously, we want locally our local people to be able to fill those gaps, and I'm assuming that's where these programs are going to be geared to
Yes,
meet those needs.
and that is the reason why we have started conversation with the oil and gas companies about allowing for us to place apprentices in their companies, so that we can have Guyanese young people exposed to the sector from the lower level to get to the higher level, where they can train an employee to become the type of employee they will want. It is cheaper that way than to just put out an advertisement and whoever shall come will come, because you might employ people who might have good qualifications. Well, qualifications alone will not make them a good employee. It has to be attitude, about responsibility to your job, the ethics, and all those issues. So now, and I say this to young people who are listening, no more you can dangle before people your certification.
Yeah.
You have to, there are several other things that you have to pay attention to make yourself employable.
Yeah.
And that is useful. So the apprenticeship program, we hope to utilize to have our people enter new areas, new sectors. And we have started that type of conversation with oil and gas companies and other companies. Collaboration with people who have already the expertise is an important factor, whether nationally or internationally. And those conversations we are engaged in as I speak to you, how we take our people into this place, the sector that are new. And we will have several new sectors coming urgently. I'll give you one example. When we are able to make, via the project we are doing, the gas to shore project, when you're able to make electricity supply, power generation cheaper and more stable, it allows for new vistas, industrialization and manufacturing. So already we have to be thinking about training people for those jobs that will come. Many of the factories will be computerized factories, not manual. So again, as regards young people and training and the future, you can't be nearsighted and narrow-sighted. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to diversify yourself into different skill areas. It's not anymore like our grandparents and parents where a man spending 30 years at one job. The world is a different place now. And so all young people, you have to be prepared, you have to be trained adequately, you have to have more than one skill set, so that any time you can move from one area to the next. So those are our thoughts and concepts in our training. We have to introduce the people that come in to the training is not just to give them a skill and say, go thy way. You know. So those are the thoughts we're having as regards this matter, training and development.
You know, as you're speaking and I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about how the labor market itself is evolving and with everything that you're saying. And I'm thinking occupational health and safety, which is in your scope as well. I'm assuming that in itself has to evolve with it. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we can expect.
So, you know, I like to start this conversation when I'm talking to Guyanese in the rawest form. Look, we cannot talk about development and we're not talking about safety and health. If we fail to adopt, to change, because occupation safety and health issues in Guyana, it's not a worker and workplace and employer issue. It's a national issue. We have a national crisis. We have a cultural way. The culture of our country is, okay, God has taken us so far without danger. Nothing will happen because it never happened. We have to come out of that mode and recognize, look, for all the decades, the highest building we had in this country was the Pegasus Hotel, 9 stories.
So for a while.
right, for decades, right? People went 3 stories, some people tried with 4 stories, but the reality what is upon us. And then we look at the, just sod was turned the other day for the
Brickdown
police station, right? And then you have people discussing 14 stories and 15 stories building. The fact is, if you don't pay attention to health and safety, the higher you go, more people are going to die. So with development,
Yeah.
the issue about safety has to be front and center. The more roads we build, the more infrastructure development, the more houses, and more people will be exposed to danger every day. And so we have to, all of us, determine how we will protect persons, because it must be when a person go to work, they're going home back safely to their families. And death on a work site is not a statistics for me. It's not okay, a man died. That man is somebody's son, somebody's husband. He might be leaving a woman with 6 children. So we can't just say, okay, people just died.
Yeah.
We have to ensure no one died. In that regard, we are making some progress. The fact that we were able to move from 2020, when we took government, 32 workplace deaths, to 2023, only 20. So it's some 30-something% decrease. But we have to do more. We have to take it to 0%. And we will continue to do that. Therefore, the issue about training, the issue about making this profession, OSH profession, a profession that is known,
Yeah.
that young people are aware that there is a profession as occupation safety and health officer, a profession that is important in the scheme of things of development. You spoke to the ILO assessment that was done. They highlighted, and it was done specifically for oil and gas. They highlighted 11 most important jobs for the future, and the number 2 was occupation safety and health.
Wow.
So you see,
Yeah, the importance.
an unknown profession
Yeah.
has become the number 2 profession within a new sector that has come to us.
Yeah.
You have so many other professions that we never thought about. Logistics specialists, to move things to how you do it with heat. Those are important professions in this sector, not just oil and gas.
Yeah.
When we ramp up manufacturing and all those sort of things, to get things from one place to the next, you need people who specialize in handling and doing this. So there are so many different and new professions that are before us, and I hope young people pay attention to them and don't get caught up in the old things of the past where everybody wants to go to university and do. So we are training people. We have to train more people. We are making training available to private sector and public sector companies and entities and agencies. And I need to say this in discussing this matter. Many a times when we speak about health and safety, a lot of people think it's just field and factory we're talking about. I'm talking about offices also.
Yeah.
Because wherever people work, you have to make the environment safe. Because just like how someone can find himself in danger in the field, they can find themselves in danger in an office via faulty electrical installation, via giving them a 3-leg chair to sit down on, or give them a desk that will collapse. So, all and sundry, we have to pay attention to the matter of health and safety in the workplace. And we want to do a program this year that extends health and safety into our homes. Safety in the home, because we don't pay attention to this matter. And many homes might be in danger. And just if you, I think in the last 10 days, we had 22 fires. That, in my view, most of them could have been avoided. The issue, if when you delve into it, might be our response or non-response to that issue that we're discussing, health and safety. All of us, we have a, like I normally say, we have a big bomb in our house we left. That 20-pound cylinder.
The gas cylinder.
Right, the gas cylinder, right? it can become a potent thing. Some people who are doing better than me and you, they have 100-pound bombs,
Yeah.
and some have 200-pound bombs.
Yeah.
So the point is, health and safety, we want to do a PR and communication program to speak to residents and all facilities, wherever people think. So, as regard the profession, it's a profession that is now people are paying attention to as regards their own development. You look at companies now. 2 years ago, they didn't have a health and safety officer. Some companies got 2 and 3 persons.
Yeah.
So, health and safety is an important aspect of national development that we cannot fail to pay attention to.
You know, you mentioned at the end of last year in the press conference when you were talking about the mere fact that we really need a lot more of those health and safety officers to be employed. And I know the ministry would have hired a number of them at the end of last year as well. Even in the press conference, you alluded to that. The mining area is one of those areas which is you've been paying very keen attention to as it relates to occupational safety and health. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things this year that we can expect to be implemented as it relates
Okay,
to occupational
most of
safety
the
and health.
deaths occur in mining and construction. But we have to look beyond all of that because forestry is a dangerous sector, agricultural sector, and other sectors. But specifically in mining, we have started some work, so to speak, by engaging miners, going in there and do training and having conversations, dispensing brochures and all that kind of thing. What I hope to do this year, of course, we will continue that. We have a joint technical committee with the GGDMA and the GGMC, and we work together. But I think a missing link is at a mine site, having someone who have some training, first aid, first responder type of training.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people might die not because of the injury, but the handling after the injury. So you might have where a person, pit collapse, and everyone is running helter-skelter when they pull the man out. If you have no one who is trained, all you're doing is panicking.
Yeah.
But if you have somebody who is trained, it might be that all you need to do is to get all this silt out the man's nostrils. It might be all you need to do is to examine him to see if perhaps some particle is stuck in his throat.
Yeah.
So his breathing is impaired. So, and we want to have that type of course, we will engage the Ministry of Health to help us in that regard, where we have, it might not be at all mine site, but, mine site that are close by. So we have that first responder kind of thing at these sites. The issue about someone who got a broken limb. They might lose their leg because nobody knows. All you have to do is to pull it and put a splinter and tie, and so same thing with a puncture. Man might bleed out because nobody understands that you have to put pressure. And so that's something we're discussing with partners, and that is something we want to execute specifically in the mining area, in the forestry also area, the same type of thing. But also we have now started to engage the agricultural belt because I'm of the view that a lot of people might be dying there, but they're dying slowly.
Yeah.
So we have started that engagement. We have to do a lot of work. We have to get the type of resources to allow our people to get there. So we have started to procure for mining and both agriculture belt ATVs, because that is the only thing that can take you to some of these places. So and then of course have our people train in specialized area. My thought is that we should have in every area specialists, whether it be mining, construction, forestry, agriculture, oil and gas. And that is what we're working towards. We have exposed some of our staff to higher training in specialized areas, and those things we will continue to do to ensure that people are protected, people are safe at work.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you alluded to occupational safety and health in construction because it's a big sector right now, booming. You alluded to the transformation in terms of the types of buildings that are going up now, even with the types of roads that are being built. So occupational safety and health is going to be very critical in those areas as well. What I like as well is that you alluded to the changing job market and the fact that we need to direct people into the right areas. And you guys, the ministry was able to do that successfully last year with several job fairs that were held last year. Let's talk about the job fairs that are outlined for this year and how many of them we can expect and what are some of the areas that we're going to be focusing.
Okay, we support all job fairs, regardless where they are at, in every region. A new initiative we want to execute this year. Just 2 days ago, I had an engagement with the National Commission on Disability. And the thought is, let us do a job fair that whilst we are seeking to have all people sign up for jobs, let it revolve around persons with disability.
Yeah.
So that we can have persons with disability engage companies, so that companies can recognize a person with a disability, they have similar capacity like us that don't have. So this job fair is to create a space where the private and public sector can engage persons with disability. We hope to have Region 4, Region 3, and Region 10 in the first instance. And then we do one in Region 6 for Region 5 and 6. So that is something new that we want to add to job fair.
Yeah.
We hope to do it before the end of the first quarter. But as regards the companies that do job fair, we support them. And you would note that 2 years ago, we established a job bank that helped people for placement. We have to do some work with the job bank. Of course, it was good for an initial step.
Yeah.
But now we have to take it to another place, another level as regards IT development. So the platform got to become more user-friendly, more ready. It has to, in my view, allow for interaction with potential employee and an employer, so that they're acquainted with each other even before the person show up at their office. So those are thoughts. We have to also make it regional specific. So whilst we have a national job bank, we also have to have pull-out, so that a man in Region 7 is acquainted with the jobs that are available in his region, because he might be looking to Georgetown for a job.
Yeah.
When just in his region a job exists that suits his qualification and that. So that we need to, and we will develop to help and to merge potential employees with the skill set to the type of jobs that exist at the moment. I plan to have a conversation with the private sector. In Central here, PSC and GCCI and the Women Chamber, but also all the other chambers in the region, to see how we can work this out together, to see what ideas they bring to the conversation. Another important thing for private sector people who are listening is this. All major projects private sector people are doing now, they have to have a housing component to it. Like the Chinese do. I always make mention of that. You could know where a Chinese major construction project is happening even before you see the project, because you will see housing
Yeah.
facility established. I believe local companies, they have to spend some money and time doing that because you might need 5 truck drivers, but none of them are around Georgetown. They're in Madhya. And you have to make it whereby they would want to come to Georgetown to work with you. And the first question they will ask, okay, I take the work, where will I live?
Accommodation.
Accommodation. So companies, they have to answer that question, not just for salary. They have to answer the question of accommodation. Wherever in the country you want people to move from one place to the next. You need welders and fabrication. 15 of them might be in Linden. The question is, how do we ensure that they can come down, stay, spend the week, and they go home back to their family? So those are new things. Those are new thoughts that we have to put on the table to be able to merge technical skills and other skills with employment that is existing.
Yeah.
Another important point let me make on this employment issue, because some people chant about unemployment. Look, in my view, the unemployment number is not real, and I say why it is not real. It is not that there isn't employment, but a lot of people are waiting for their preference, the preferred job they want.
Yeah.
Look, I say to people, more so young people, find a job. Whilst you're looking for the job that you prefer, whilst you're looking for the job that might suit your specialization or your skills, find a job. And if that happens, we have no unemployment. Because whilst on one side you might have unemployment numbers, you go into all sectors and they will tell you how short they are of skills. I'm sure you pay attention to social media, Spectrum and Facebook and so. In the last month, I have seen hundreds of advertisements about skills in all different sectors. So the Central Recruitment and Manpower Agency also would have to change and develop, and the job bank, as I said, the platform would have to be more user-friendly. We will work along with the technical people who has created the platform for us to ensure that it can operate differently and more upgraded in 2024.
And as you're talking, I'm wondering how the labor market integrated system that is you're looking to develop this year, how that fits into all of what you're talking about.
Well, we have started. We employed a consultant from India who is working with us to help us in that regard, and he has started to do some work. But it's a job that has to be done together with Labor Ministry, Finance Ministry, who have responsibility for the Bureau of Statistics, and also the Ministry of Home Affairs. Because presently, the ministry that has the most exposure to people who are coming into Guyana to work is the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Right.
Because the issue of a work permit and visas and all that kind of thing is dealt with via the Ministry of Home Affairs. So it has to be a collaborative effort that will include also the private sector. Because even coming back to training, we have to train based on needs. And we have to be able to forecast needs. Like I give you this example when we talk about not forecasting needs. So the previous government, we found oil in 2015. They spent 5 years in government and trained no one for the oil and gas sector. So a new sector arrived. But there was no training done. So right now, we have to play catch up. We have to fill all those holes and fill all those gaps because, importantly, you spoke to earlier, at the end of the day, we want to be able to have most, if not all, of these jobs in oil and gas. Guyanese are manning them and being paid the real good money. And so, how do you do that? You have to spend money on training people. You can't get, it's not a gap for talk about it. We need more, or we shouldn't have expatriate coming in. The man need 2 engineers. If you don't have the type, he will go to the Philippines. That is how. You have to be able to put yourself in a position, this country, that when a man is saying to us, he will bring 2 or 5 of this from someplace, we can bring 5 of the same thing with the same capacity and experience and put it before him and say, look, you have 5 there. And any business, and any business person who is smart, they will take the 5 that is here. It's cheaper. They don't have to get housing. They don't have to 2 tickets per year to go back. So, but we can't do this gaffing. We have to do, and that's why the government, some people ask why we're running so fast. I mean, we have to run. We're far back where we were supposed to be. We wasted 5 years. We talk about all the buildings we were talking about, all these hotels and hospitality. Who is going to man them if you don't have people trained in hospitality, in the hospitality industry? So it is that kind of thing. Quickly, I heard MP, when the Minister of Finance was speaking, and he was talking about expenditure on schools. I heard opposition MP saying they're building all of these schools. It's like, seriously? It's like that's what they're spending. It's like anybody will question building schools or building hospitals. I mean, so that kind of thing sometimes take you back. What the hell am I hearing here? How do you have a difficulty with expenditure on training and development of our people? So for us, as the minister said in his presentation, and as the president continued to make this point, we have to ensure that all our people are in a financial stable position. And that's the issue here. How do we do it as a nation to ensure that all of us, we can say, okay, we have a roof over our own heads. The job that I have, I can take care of myself and my family, without scratching my head and pulling my ear out of my head every day. If something happens to them, God forbid, I can take them to a facility with all the necessary facilities, like First World, to ensure that they stay alive. People must not live or die based on whether they're rich or poor. Education and delivery, they can, whether poor or rich, they will have the same access to education. That is what the whole program is about. That is why the budget is about. Staying the course. That is the course we have set ourselves, based on our commitment we made to people when we campaigned to win government.
Minister, you talking about the development trajectory of not just the economy, but we're talking about the labor market in particular here. Out here on the coastland, you look at all the opportunities that are available. In the interior locations before, you might have said that there might not have been so many opportunities available for persons in the hinterland locations. This year's allocation to your ministry, and with everything that you're talking about training, how does your ministry intend to bridge that gap? Because you've already started work to bridge that gap in terms of the divide between the hinterland and the coastal locations. Because people in the hinterland obviously want the same opportunities that you're outlining.
Yeah, the thing is look, we have to start off from this psychological premise that every child is equal. All they want is the same opportunity. Once we start off there, we'll work towards ensuring it happens. And that is the government position. There is no differentiation between a coastal child and a interland child or a riverine child and a rural child, all of these children, given the same opportunity, they can do the best for themselves. And that is shown in what has happened in this country over the last several years. Now, at Common Entrance, as we call it, we don't look only to Georgetown and Georgetown schools as to who making the 100 or whatever number,
Yeah.
who is the top five. We're looking across the country. If we look at CXC, it is a country, a village and a region that has taken the crown for the last 3 years,
Yeah.
Anna Regina. So that has already shown. Once the education delivery is equitable, what are the possibilities? And therefore, for our training, that is the approach we have adopted, where we have expanded in the last 3 years. We have trained officers that belongs to those communities and send them to work with those communities. So every officer I have, technical officer, they belongs to that region. So nobody's imposed on the region.
Yeah.
So that's the first way you start this. And secondly, you make the same opportunities available. And thirdly, if I'm doing a program, say on the coast, I might be able to access certain facilities via a private sector person. In the interline, it's not the same thing. So when I say I'm going to do a certain program, I have to know that it might cost me more
Yeah.
because I have to buy type of tools that I might not have to buy on the coast. And so that is what equity is about. You can't a one size fit all because you will not be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish. So if I'm doing okay, we want to do, let us say, garment construction and designing. I would have to know that I might have to supply 15 machines in the land village or riverine community, and they might not have electricity. So I have to pair that with a generator to make it work. I can't just go and tell them about the program, and I cannot go and just give them electrical machines, and that's this. So understanding that, we have been able to make the progress that we have made. Right now, actually all the tractor drivers in every indigenous community, BIT together with Ministry of Environmental Affairs, we have trained them.
Wow.
So the mechanics, one of the issues they were having is all these equipment, when they go bad, they have to bring a mechanic from the coast to repair, which is costly. So you have to train mechanic in the village. Construction, for them to be able to participate in procurement of goods and services, you have to train them to be as good as any mason and carpenter. So that is what we have been doing, and that is what we will continue to do in these interland and riverine and the rural communities. And you have to execute this program understanding that different areas got different needs. And you have to be prepared for that. And what we do importantly that helps community is I have mandated the first instance, the trainer must belongs to the community. So the person we are paying, that money can circulate in the village, in the community. And those things we will continue to do. We will expand it more. We will do some more programs. We will introduce some programs that they didn't have the facility to. As I speak to you, we are developing at NIDER and expending money to do specific training. Same thing with LETEM, Anna Regina, Barbies. So all around we are, and for the first time, just for people, BIT will now, we have started now to build our own training facilities,
Wow.
which is moving on
Yeah.
and moving up. So we are doing a facility, just for information, on the East Coast at Unity. That facility will be specialized in this way. We want to ensure that every Guyanese craftsman or tradesman is certified and accredited.
Yeah.
So we'll use that facility for that. So all in all, I'm grateful, thankful that we have the type of money to do what we plan to do. You know, you can always say that we should get more, but
Yeah.
life is about working with what you have.
That's fact.
And I plan to, and the technical people there, we plan to work with what we have. And that will not stop us from giving service, changing people's lives,
Yeah.
and collaborating for the development of people in wherever they reside.
Awesome. Minister, before we go, I want you to speak specifically about how excited you are to be able to undertake all the things that you've mentioned this year, and what are you looking forward to in terms of, you know, Guyanese all across the country being able to benefit.
The thing is, like, you know, when I became minister, I was asked by one of your colleagues, how is it I see myself and how excited I am to be in a cabinet. I answered it this way. I said, I'm old enough to know that all the things we dreamt about, wanted to happen, we hoped for to happen, is the first time in my life I can feel it, I can see it, I can taste it, and I can touch it.
Wow.
So I'm still at that place whereby, you know, sometimes people ask me, so where the energy is the evidence of changing people's lives. That is where it comes from. Hamilton and a special breed or a special person. But look, I'll give you so that people understand. When a man says to you, Minister, I am 35 years old, and it's the first certificate I've received in my life with tears in his eyes.
Wow.
You understand what you're doing, and that has been replicated through the length and breadth of this country. That's, you're not just giving people skill, but psychologically, you have caused a person to say, I am worthy.
Yeah.
And no more can people look down on me.
Self-worth
So
and confidence, yes.
that is what gives me this excitement to do what I'm doing.
Thank you so much, Minister of Labour, the Honourable Joseph Hamilton, for stopping by and talking
Pleasure
to us and for
being
shedding
here.
light on your allocation, your ministry's allocation. You were tuned to Budget in Focus, which was that you'll have a fantastic rest of your day.